thank you so much for the suggestion. If you want to see your name here, well, comment something unique, and maybe I'll make a video about it. Thanks for watching.
Do you like Marvel? Do you like DC? Well, great.
This is the video for you. Today we're going to be going over a Marvel versus DC game concept. Now this is part 1 of 2, and part 1 we'll be going over the Marvel side of the game. You don't have to watch these in any particular order, so if you do prefer DC and the video is out, you can click this card right up at the top of the screen and watch that one first, if you'd prefer. But for the basics of the game is that this will basically be an Overwatch clone, a character shooter where each character is completely 100% unique from each other, and that's about it. There are 3 classes. I wanted to name them something different, and we could totally do that, but I thought I would just stick with the Overwatch names just to make it a little bit simpler. There are 3 types: tank, damage, and healer. Tanks are typically the heavy hitters. There's then the damage players, and they, of course, are usually the fastest and most damage dealing characters. We also have our last playable characters, and that is our healers. They are a mix of heavy and fast characters, and they tend to be the ones that deal the least amount of damage, but end up healing the most amount of players on their team. Now, for the Marvel vs. DC Overwatch clone that I'm making, the teams will be separated like this: Marvel, DC, and within those categories, there are 5 heroes and 5 villains. During normal gameplay, when you are selecting the normal mode, you will swap back and forth between the Marvel team and the DC team every single round, not allowing the Marvel characters or the DC characters to be on the same team. Now, obviously, there would be certain modes, like a deathmatch or something along those lines, that would allow you to mix and match characters on the same team, but for this, we're not going to explain it like that, as, well, that would be an extra mode. So, let's get started with the one, the only,
the terrifying, the deadly, the amazing Spider-Man!
See you, chump. What the hell?
For Spider-Man, he will be a damage character. He will be quite fast. In fact, he will most likely be one of the fastest characters, if not the fastest character, on the Marvel team. Spider-Man will have his main shot be a single web shoot. You can press this as fast as you want, and he will shoot the webs as fast as you can press the button. His secondary shot will be a charge shot that uses the entire web clip. However, if enough is used and hits a player, it will web them up for a few seconds and deal more damage than using that amount of shots normally. Spider-Man will have 20 webs in his cartridge before having to reload, and only needs to use 10 to web up an opponent with the charge shot. For his 2 abilities, they will both involve him grabbing opponents, one pulling him into them, and one pulling them to him. Using these in different scenarios would change up the gameplay depending on if you're trying to push or pull them back. For his ultimate ability, which will be unlocked after so many points are gained by dealing damage or getting kills, he will get the web bomb. This can be shot anywhere he wants and will deal massive web damage wherever it's shot. If it's in a clump of enemies, they will all be webbed up for the same amount of time as if they were webbed up with his normal shot. However, it will deal damage while they're webbed up, and of course you can continue shooting them as they are webbed up. Moving on. Iron Man will also be a damage character, with his main blast being Repulsor Blast. That will be a larger and slightly slower blast than Spider-Man's. It will have a higher range though, and as well have more damage to compensate. His first special ability will have him shoot a rocket, which will explode when in contact with anything. It takes longer to build up speed than the repulsor blast, but can get to be double the speed of one of those normally. The explosion will deal tons of damage and can affect several players at once. For his second and final special ability, he will be able to super jump up into the air and hover there for 20 seconds, allowing him to shoot rockets or beams at anyone he chooses. He cannot move around like this, however, and will be stuck in that exact same spot for 20 seconds or until he releases the button. For his ultimate attack, he will have the Unibeam. This will shoot an endless beam in front of him that can be maneuvered in any direction he would like. His turning speed will be a lot slower while this is active though, and therefore you pretty much want to be aimed up before you hit the button to use it. Moving on to Hulk, he will be obviously a tank character, with his main ability being a melee punch. This punch does a lot of damage, and you have to be extremely close to use it. However, he will also have a secondary ability that allows him to ground slam, effectively giving him more range than he normally would have with his melee. The ground slam will break the ground up in front of him, but not too far, as, well, that would defeat the whole purpose. However, he does have an ability that allows him to throw a rock from the ground, and this will go quite a bit further, but deal quite a bit less damage than both of the other moves. For Hulk's ultimate, he will have Unbreakable Rage. This will give him and all of his teammates a bit of armor, as they might need it at any point during the match. It'll give them double the health that they already have, and set it as armor. So if you're low on health, it won't give you too much armor, but if you have a lot of health, you will have even more. This effect will last for 30 seconds, which I know is a long time, but the armor can be broken, so yeah. Next up we have who is our second tank on the Marvel team. Wolverine will swipe his claws really fast for his first ability, and for his secondary ability, he will uppercut with the claw. This will send him up into the air quite a bit, and allow him to do multiple combos in the air if grabbing an opponent with the initial uppercut. He'll also have a dash claw, which will send him forward and swiping with his adamantium claws. He will also have an adamantium skeleton ability that will give him armor and exclusively him. And for his ultimate, he will have a healing factor move, giving those around him health for a few seconds if they get shot. Meaning, if you use it and one of your teammates or yourself are taking damage, the healing factor will immediately get rid of that damage for the next 10 seconds. They have to be near you for the initial startup of the move, but once they are near you, they no longer have to be near you to use this ability. For our final hero on the Marvel team, we have...
Go get some.
You gonna do a superhero landing? Wait for it!
What the hell?
Deadpool will be a damage character and will use his pistols as his main attack. He will also have an ability that allows him to throw his sword, and he will have 2 of these before it has to recharge, seeing that he has 2 swords. His secondary ability will be a teleport belt that will allow you to disappear from the battlefield, walk to wherever you want, then press it again, unteleporting back into the world. You can only be invisible and intangible for so many seconds though, 5 to be exact, before the game will push you out of the teleport mode. For Deadpool's ultimate ability, we will have a Nuke Strike. This Nuke Strike will, strike a nuke exactly where Deadpool is whenever he activates it. It will take a few seconds for the nuke to appear though, and will have a giant radius affecting everyone except for Deadpool. This includes his teammates, so you do not want to be near when he does this. So for our first villain, Loki would be our first healer and would have a blast with his staff that explodes on contact. This would be a medium range attack that doesn't have a whole lot of damage attached to it. His healing moves would allow him to stab his closest friends on his team to heal them. This would heal them quite a lot, but you have to be extremely close to use this move with them, making comms an extremely important part of this character. His first ability would be his healing drone, an illusion that looks exactly like Loki and pretends to fight enemies, but can also heal teammates while near them. For his second ability, he will use telekinesis on his teammates to get them away from danger. The way this will work is wherever they are being shot from, Loki will push them in the opposite direction. This could be detrimental, however, if used at the wrong moment, pushing them off of a stage and the like. For his ultimate ability, he will have a freeze explosion, which will freeze all the enemies around him within a radius and heal your teammates within that same radius. It will be small and cannot be moved once pushing the button. Now, one character that I'm not going to go into their abilities or anything that I think would be pretty cool to have on both teams would be a character jointly owned by Marvel and DC named Axis. He is always the link between the Marvel and DC universes when they appear together, and has several abilities that are multiversal level. I think it would be cool to have one character that can travel between these universes, and that is the reason that they are together in the first place. Each team can have this character on their team once, at least when you're playing the normal mode, so you could have two Accesses fighting each other at the same time. And I'm thinking about streaming some Spider-Man gameplay this weekend, so if I do, it'll be tomorrow pretty much all day. So you can stop by pretty much all day, and I will probably still be streaming. Hope to see you there. Anyway, if you like this video, consider subscribing. Helps out a lot, and you'll get to see the part 2 of this video in the coming weeks. Anyway, thanks for watching, and peace.